we've seen of Bautista this season compared to the last couple of campaigns is that there have been races where the best available to Bautista has been a second or third position. As we said at the top of the programme, just a couple of race wins at venues where he's dominated, certainly last season. This could be more of the same for Bautista at the moment, watching on as his teammate scampers away in P2.
Yeah, and that's a new thing for him to have to deal with, to try and chase down someone on the same bike, and mentally that can be difficult, even if you're a double world champion and coming into this race as the championship leader. But for Bautista, this is where he needs to just get what he can in contract, and the status that came with it was important. BMW had to go big with the contract, and at the end of the day, their faith in Toprak being the difference maker has been rewarded up to this point.
Bad news for those following Tito Rabat's progress. He has gone down and is out of the points. It was looking good for his best result of the season in P12. That's going to promote Garrett Gerloff, Michele Pirro, Michael Ruben Rinaldi and Scott Redding into the last of those point-to-take positions. A couple of names down the order there, Rinaldi and Redding. With past seasons become accustomed to much more. Race 1 of the 2024 Pirelli Emilia-Romagna round gets underway. Good jump as well from Alvaro Bautista. Challenges to the inside line into turn 1. He's already alongside teammate Nicolo Bulliger, who's got swallowed up and is going backwards. Gardner leads. He's hit the front ahead of Razgatlioglu. Bautista and Bulliger swapping out over third position. Decent launch initially from Andrea Iannone. He's up to P6. Locatelli also coming through on Alex Lowe's, who's down to 7th, with Sam Lowe's now for company in P8. Alex, I think, has got back through now on Andrea Iannone and 7th. Trying to recover top spot against Remy Gardner. Super start it was from him on the outside of that front right.
Yeah, Javi Vierge down the red Honda, but good start from that fourth row from Sam, like you said, and up into the top 10, giving himself a chance of some decent points in this race.
Alex Lowe still trying to recover on the inside of Andrea Locatelli there as they tiptoe away through turn 10. Now the speed builds towards Cremona, fastest corner on this circuit. Gardner leads from Razgatlioglu in second, Bautista in third. Now to Andrea Locatelli, 0.3 of a second, the gap to 5th position, and Locatelli for the moment backing up Alex Lowe's as well.
Yeah, and Remy really, that could be Jonathan Ray maybe in the background. It looked like a blue line. I think
it might well have been Jonathan Ray, who has gone tumbling out of this race at high speed on the opening lap. The latest in a catalogue of misfortunes for the former world champion at the start of this 2024 campaign.
Yeah, you can see here with Bulliger, he's a little bit wide. Is that going to leave him a little bit vulnerable from Locatelli behind him? But at the front of the field, Remy Gardner riding with so much confidence as well. We saw him through those right-handers at the end of the lap, really using every inch of the racetrack.
Locatelli around the outside of Nicolo Bulliger at turn 2, and the pair almost connected. Locatelli was far faster coming off the final turn at the end of the opening lap. Jonathan Ray walking away from an incident in the very early stages. We won't get to see what the climb might have looked like for him. Meanwhile, back at the front, Alex Lowe's makes his way through as well on Nicolo Bulliger. And this will be the biggest concern of whether you want to qualify if you find yourself getting banged out of the way in the early stages. Down to 6th position here for Bulliger, trying to recover against Alex Lowe's, and for the moment doing so successfully. You put yourself back from the podium trio who are starting to escape away though.
Yeah, exactly, and once you're starting to battle with each other, that's whenever the likes of Bautista and Toprak are always able to take advantage of their consistency. Remy Gardner does do a very solid job leading a WorldSBK race.
The smallest of those from Nicolo Bulliger, wasn't it, at the end of the opening lap, and he's now on the back foot trying to recover. On high speed into Cremona, that was full commitment there, and it sends Andrea Locatelli off the circuit altogether. Might be an opportunity for Alex Lowe to come through for P5.
Yeah, and this is going to be the tail end Jonathan Ray's crash up at the top of the screen, and that's a fast place to come off. It's 240 k's an hour through there, and you're going back in 1 gear, 5th gear, 4th gear through there. So for Jonathan Ray, at least able to walk away from that one, but again, it means that he's got no data for tomorrow in the race as well, and just puts him even more in the back foot.
Remy Gardner, who took his first podium position in the Superbike World Championship last time out in Assen, front start for only the 2nd time in his career, leads the way ahead of Toprak Razgatlıoğlu, continuing that strong form from the Dutch round into the Emilia-Romagna round. Razgatlıoğlu 4 tenths of a second back. Bautista up into the provisional podium position for a place on the 2nd row of the grid. Was another great launch from Bautista.
Yeah, really good start from Alvaro and able to keep himself in those leading positions, but you got to say right now Remy Gardner is the star of the show, because to be this comfortable out in front of those early laps, that's the key thing, is to put yourself in those positions to give yourself a chance of being able to have a good result, because so often more just have to make up so much ground in the closing stages of the race. So for Remy, he's now got a chance of being able to keep himself in those podium spots all the way through this race. But Toprak's coming.
Bautista dropping back from Toprak Razgatlıoğlu as well. Might well be content to play the long game, but he is going to have Nicola Bulliger right on his tail. Bulliger closing on Bautista, Razgatlıoğlu closing on Gardner. 2 races in 1 at the moment in those podium positions. Nose to tail the top spot as they come through Cremona. Gardner needs to get it absolutely spot on here, or into Cara, the slowest corner on the circuit. Razgatlıoğlu might be close enough for a jab. Not for the moment, at least. Bulliger not close enough to Alvaro Bautista either.
Interesting there to see Bulliger on the number 11 machine actually pulling a little bit more wheelie between turn 13 and then getting on the brakes in 14. So he's impatient to get through on Alvaro Bautista.
Coming through the final turn, where Toprak Razgatlıoğlu had his spill in practice yesterday. No such problems this time around for Toprak, who's got a good exit from that final turn. Wants to start another lap. He's already up alongside Remy Gardner in towards turn 1, but can't quite outbreak it. Gardner will have to be cautious not to lose the position into turn 2. He covers the line quite nicely, but for the moment, it's all defence for Gardner. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu on the attack.
Let's just remember about Remy Gardner, though, a Moto2 world champion and rider that was able to make the difference in a series that was all basically about being on the same package with the Calyx bike back then. So for Remy Gardner, we know how good of a rider he is. He also knows how to win races and world championships, so he's not going to be phased by having Toprak chase him down.
Toprak Razgatlıoğlu 133.681 there on lap 3, and Toprak's making his move down the inside. Remy Gardner are riding on board with Nicola Bulliger, and Razgatlıoğlu takes the lead on race 1 of this 2024 Pirelli Emilia-Romagna round.
So let's see what Toprak's pace is now, and if Remy's able to go with it. Like I said, comfortable in the first few laps for Remy, and now's the point of the race where you have to start being able to go with those riders. But it has been really promising for Remy, front row of the grid, leading those early laps. But at the end of the day, he's not the first rider that's going to be attacked by Toprak into turn 8 and come off second well. This is the key to taking opportunity all the way through the race here. This is where we're going to see all the moves. So for Toprak to be able to make that move, it is one of the positions where if you can get your bike down the inside, you immediately take that high ground. So an easy move.
It's Bulliger who looks the most racy at the moment of the 2 riders now behind Toprak Razgatlıoğlu, and in his wake, Bulliger has been hounding Alvaro Bautista, but thus far not finding a way through. Of course, identical packages for those 2, so it's not really straightforward. Bautista might well need to make an error for Bulliger to force his way through. Bautista, meanwhile, starting to build up his pace. New personal best lap last time around from Bautista to close down Remy Gardner, and he needs to clear him quickly because Razgatlıoğlu is clearing off at the head of the field. 0.6 of a second already clear of Remy Gardner.
Yeah, you can see their new fastest lap of the race for Bulliger, and that's why he's putting the pressure on Bautista. But both of the Aruba Ducati riders struggled in yesterday's free practice sessions with a lack of feeling on the front end of the bike in the heavier braking zones and in the initial phase of the corner. They've been able to make step-by-step progress through the course of yesterday afternoon and into today. And for Bulliger, this is where the bike is at least starting to give him the opportunities. But Alvaro Bautista there, a little bit hot on the run through the mid-corner there. That might leave him a little bit vulnerable. Turn 8's a very strange corner because you can go into it fast, but then it means you come out of it slow, or you can be vice versa.
Yeah, we saw the alternative racing line through Quencher when we took the overhead shot, didn't we? A variety of different lines available through there. We're now into the penultimate sector of this lap number 5 through Cremona. High-speed turn there with Bautista still shadowing Remy Gardner for this second position. 3 riders in the mix there. Bulliger though runs wide. Bulliger's off the circuit altogether. That's going to cost him dearly. He has been hassling and harrying his teammate Alvaro Bautista for the last couple of laps, but he's lost plenty of ground there, something like 0.6 of a second in one small error.
Yeah, and we'll see what the difference is as they come across the line. The good news for him is that Alvaro is bundled up a little bit behind Remy Gardner, and Remy's still able to put in 1 minute 34s. Last time around, though, it was back into the low 34s there for Remy, so he's still got the same pace as the riders around him.
And we suspect that Alvaro Bautista could run this kind of pace quite deep into the race. What everyone else's tyre life might do later on is a different matter, but we know Bautista can afford to play the long game.
Alvaro can run this pace all day. That's what we've been able to see over the years here at Misano, but we've seen it where he's out in front able to run that pace. It's a different story whenever you're in the middle of a battle, and also if you're behind a rider in front, maybe the tyre temperature goes up as well because you don't have that clear air in front of you. It's 30 degrees here at Misano, so it is very warm, so if you're behind a rider, it's always going to be that little bit more difficult for the tyres.
While Bautista is coming up behind Remy Gardner, Nicola Bulliger has far more pace than his teammate, already starting to make up ground. 0.3 of a second pulled back on Alvaro Bautista already. Bautista sees this as the opportunity to make the move. He is going to have to be very forceful. That is a classic pull pass there from Alvaro Bautista. Bautista. Can Gardner immediately respond? The answer is no. The acceleration now towards Cremona for Alvaro Bautista, and Nicolo Bulliger again making his move there through turn 11. So Bulliger perfected something quite unique there, and Gardner suddenly finds himself in a matter of 3 turns going back from 2nd to 4th.
Yeah, we've seen that Bulliger and Bautista have been the fastest riders through the speed trap. That's just before the entry of turn 11 all the way through this weekend, so just able to use that extra bit of top speed, and the exit from turn 10 is what sets that up, and the acceleration out of it. So for Nicolo Bulliger, he's been able to make that move twice. We know that's what he's feeling comfortable.
Now we have the top 3 in the championship, in the top 3 places in this race 1. Bautista and Bulliger both coming through on Gardner. Bulliger the fastest man of the link trio last time around, despite that overtaking manoeuvre with a 1 minute 33.9, but Toprak Razgatlıoğlu more or less matching that pace with a new personal best last time around as well.
Obviously the top 3 is going to be the interesting thing. What happens with Remy Gardner now? If Locatelli, Lowe's, Iannone and Lowe's are able to get back towards them as well, you could have a decent scrap there for that 4th position if Gardner's not able to get himself back in the mix with the Ducati riders. Just to say as well, Michael van der Mark up inside the top 10, with van der Mark having started from the 6th row of the grid, so he's recovered well from Super Bowl crash.
Nicolo Bulliger spent 2 laps shadowing Alvaro Bautista before an error that sent him off the circuit altogether. He has recovered that ground now, and once again is right on the tail of Bautista. Tried to find a way through into turn 8, but wasn't quite close enough. Could he spring his move down the inside of turn 11? I don't think he's going to be able to do it against another Ducati, but he's certainly lining himself up for it, isn't he? Runs in wide. Now with the cutback, it's Bautista versus Bulliger. Number 11, who's already made 2 passes here through Cremona. He's not going to be able to do it against his teammate Alvaro Bautista. Now it's about perhaps setting himself up for a move into Karen, the slowest corner on the circuit. Turn 14. Razgatlıoğlu now 1.5 seconds clear at the head of the field. The only man with the pace to match him seems to be Bulliger. He's tripping over his teammate Bautista once again on lap 7.
Yeah, and you can see with Remy Gardner behind them as well, they are bottled up a little bit, and we're not seeing the pace that you'd expect to see from Alvaro Bautista. Still only at 1/3 distance though, so Alvaro, we might well see him come back into it later in the race, but the gap between him and Toprak, it's stretched out to almost 2 seconds now, and it's another half second on this lap that Bautista's lost. He's trying to be defensive against Bulliger, but he just doesn't look comfortable in that corner entry. You see into turn 1 there, he just doesn't look like he's got that normal fluidity that we see from Alvaro whenever he starts to turn into the corner.
And Bautista last lap around slower than the likes of Locatelli and Lowe, so that's why they are also coming back into the picture now.
Same again there into turn 4 as well, so Bulliger's going to have an easy move.
Yeah, Alvaro Bautista a little bit wide, a little bit sluggish. Bulliger picks his pockets in straightforward fashion. That might be the best possible outcome here for the Aruba.it Ducati factory, because Bulliger can now start thinking about hunting down Toprak Razgatlıoğlu. And we like to see whether Bautista will find some pace later on, or whether everyone else's will drop more dramatically than his. But certainly for the moment at least, if things were to stay as they are at present, we have a BMW leading the Riders' World Championship.
Yeah, it's interesting because you can see there on the trail braking zone, Bautista doesn't look too bad. He overruns a little bit wide in through turn 10, but it's in those upright braking zones and that initial phase of getting onto the side of the tyre, he looked to be struggling in sector 1, but it's always different whenever you're the rider in front and now you're the rider behind, so we'll keep an eye on Bautista and what he can do.
Andrea Locatelli faster than Remy Gardner for a few consecutive laps, 0.2 of a second per lap, and at this stage of the race, the fastest Yamaha out there. So Locatelli with an opportunity quite soon to get through on Remy Gardner and try and hunt down those podium places. That will be a real fillip for the number 55 after a very disappointing Dutch round last time out. For the moment, it's Remy Gardner holding station in that 4th position. So we've got the 2 Ducatis in 2nd and 3rd, of Bulliger and Bautista. We've got the 2 Yamahas behind of Gardner and Locatelli, and then it's Alex Lowe's rounding out your top 6 as Locatelli really almost goes up the back of Remy Gardner there in towards turn 1.
Last time around, Toprak, the only rider inside the 33 with the new personal best. Bulliger obviously made the move on Alvaro Bautista, and he was about a 10th of a second slower than that. So we'll see if on this lap, with clear track in front of him, if he's able to close down the gap to Toprak.
And while you're going through the times, worth mentioning Alvaro Bautista with a 1 minute 34.9, so a second loss to Toprak Razgatlıoğlu. The gap is already 0.8 of a second to Nicolo Bulliger, 2.6 to top spot of Toprak Razgatlıoğlu.
Yeah, Alvaro, like you said, doesn't look comfortable out there, but it is a long race here, and he's had so much success here in the past that we'll wait and see if it comes back to him. But as it is right now, it does look like it's just starting to stretch out at the front, and Toprak with 2 seconds in hand. You don't see Toprak lose from a lead like that too often.
It's not totally out of the ordinary for what we've seen of Bautista this season compared to the last couple of campaigns, is it? There have been races where the best available to Bautista has been a 2nd or 3rd position. As we said at the top of the programme, just a couple of race wins at venues where he's dominated, certainly last season. This could be more of the the same for Bautista at the moment, watching on as his teammate scampers away in P2.
Yeah, and that's a new thing for him to have to deal with, to try and chase down someone on the same bike, and mentally that can be difficult, even if you're a double world champion and coming into this race as the championship leader. But for Bautista, this is where he needs to just get what he can out of this race. This is about grinding out a podium and making a start for tomorrow.
The rest of the field starting to thin out somewhat at this stage. Andrea Locatelli closing down on Remy Gardner, but lost a little bit of ground midway through that previous lap.
First flying lap there with clear air in front of him, booted at 4/10 of a second faster than Toprak.
Locatelli clips the back of Remy Gardner going into turn 2. He had half committed to the move. He was too close to Gardner to bail out of it. Remy Gardner doing well to stay on. Locatelli's momentum now for turn. Alex Lowe sensing an opportunity to try and get on terms. If he can carry his momentum nicely, there might be an opportunity in towards turn 8. The race for 4th position reignited as Andrea Locatelli clips his own teammate and one rider to the next.
Yeah, you can see into the Toprak side of the BMW pit box there as well, and a few worried faces, but I'd imagine that's just the accountants department there for Mark Bongers that's been on the phone to him, because they've got a rider now with Toprak that they expect to be able to do things like this, to win races in Ducati's home ground, places where Alvaro Bautista has been so strong over the last few years. Toprak just brings that confidence to a team, and he's got a lap to go after this one, and he just looks so composed on the bike. Even when the bike moves around as much as it does underneath him, he's the rider that makes the difference.
Yes, you've got to hope that when they were setting the win bonuses, they were more optimistic of Toprak's chances than many up and down this paddock, because he was moving to a manufacturer that was in the bottom 2 in the Manufacturers' Championship last season. He's turned things around for BMW and looks set to become a championship leader.
Yeah, once Toprak got onto the bike, you could see that it was going to be okay for him. He was going to be able to ride it like he needed to. But this time last year with Lozano, whenever it had all been confirmed, this was the first round back for Toprak to talk to the media about leaving Yamaha, going to BMW. And obviously, the contract and the status that came with it was important. BMW had to go big with the contract, and at the end of the day, their faith in Toprak being the difference maker has been rewarded up to this point.
Bad news for those following Tito Rabat's progress. He has gone down and is out of the points. It was looking good for his best result of the season in P12. That's going to promote Garrett Gerloff, Michele Pirro, Michael Ruben Rinaldi and Scott Redding into the last of those point-paying positions. A couple of names down the order there. Rinaldi and Redding with past seasons become accustomed to much more.
2 former factory Ducati riders on the Aruba official team, and they're now scrapping it out for points at what had been one of the rounds, but they always expected to come and be competing at the sharp end.
Yeah, it just goes to show you don't want to be moving on from the Ducati factory team, do you, in any hurry? Michael Ruben and Aldi stepping to independent machinery this season. It has not worked out for him with Moto Corsa. Scott Redding struggling is going to pick up just the last points-paying position. Into the final sector now then for Toprak Razgatlıoğlu. This when he had this film yesterday, safely negotiates the final turn. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu, a winner in Catalonia, a winner in the Netherlands, and a winner in race 1 of the Emilia-Romagna round to take the championship lead for BMW for the first time in over a decade. Toprak Razgatlıoğlu dominates the first race of the weekend in Misano, 1.8 seconds ahead of Nicolo Bolliger at the checkered flag, and his main title rival Alvaro Bautista relegated to 3rd, relegated to 2nd in the series standings. Razgatlıoğlu leads us with a 3-point advantage.
And for